Greetings, this is Polish black metal time. We're gonna go deep into the Slavic mindset and explore what is going on in parts of Eastern Europe, especially in Poland, where everything is strong. Well, at least when it comes to black metal. Anyway, most of you have been through Polish black metal scene many times with many bands. Biggest ones nowadays, I guess, being Behemoth and Mgła. But lots of other bands, and I think most of you are rather kind of up to date what's going on. And I'm not even talking about old names such as Graveland and the like, but also these 2000s name, the bands that have been sprouting in the past few years. Now one of them is Nyctophilia, which I not too long ago also reviewed here on the channel with one of their albums, that band being out for a few years now. But the man behind the band is not only active with one particular band, but also with this band, which is now here for review. This one is called Thurthul, and the album in question is Fury of Ancient Race. This is the debut album of the band, and it's quite different from that of Nyctophilia. Whereas Nyctophilia is all about kind of a atmospheric, suicidal, depressive black metal, what is usually anyways called. Thurthul is quite a different breed. This is all about fast-paced, rather straightforward and a little bit melodic black metal. Actually not too little even, because some of these melodies are something that basically in a different context could be seen as some sort of pagan folk metal even. So while this is actually black metal, these ideas with this album are not too uncommon in some of the other genres. And here's a nice autograph, by the way, also. Got this album straight from the band itself, so thank you, dear sir, who sent me this. Now let's take a look at the Metal Archive site for the band, for you to get this kind of a basic recap of the band. So as you can see, 2018, relatively new band, out with 2 releases so far, of this one being the later one. I don't know about you guys, but these kind of titles kind of strongly suggest to me bands such as Graveland and the like. That is very much of this kind of a pagan heritage, this kind of a nostalgic feeling about ancient times, past centuries and so forth. You know, back to the ages of swords and armors, knight and chivalry and castles and all that stuff. And whereas so many other bands are very much tied to the nowadays modern times and all that stuff. So once again, here is the only one member of the band, and here you can see these other bands he's part of. And since I mentioned Nyctophilia, I guess it's worth the time to kind of show that page as well. Here being the atmospheric depressive black metal with quite a few releases already out. Curious enough, these are on different label, and I guess that is mostly explained by the different style of black metal going on. Now, curious enough, these are actually quite different breed, and I think that kind of justifies for one man to have not only one, but 2 or even more black metal bands, because so often you get to see these artists which have one band for satanic black metal, one band for pagan black metal, one band for historic black metal or whatever, and so forth. So you have like very similar bands with very tiny lineup changes here and there, and you're like, so why do you need all that? Sometimes they make sense, more often than not really so much. But with Thurthul, it's, like I said, it's different style, and as such it's kind of nice that you really don't get to mix these bands together because they are different style. However, I must still say that in my opinion it kind of shows that Nyctophilia is a little bit older band, because the style is kind of more, I don't know, more evolved maybe would be the right choice of words, I guess. Whereas Thurthul is still very much the kind of typical band doing its first album. Now for a first album, this is actually quite a nice release, but to be honest, even with this relatively short length, that is less than 40 minutes, this album kind of starts to repeat itself way too quickly. That is, it seems to be all the way fast-paced, somewhat melodic, and that's it. Now, it's not all the way fast-paced. Actually, if you just kind of let your brain to understand it, you will notice there are slower parts, not exactly slow, but kind of a mid-tempo parts, which then again create this kind of dynamics and diversity, which is so important for an album to, be interesting. But still, eventually after a few listens, I can only imagine this being kind of a melodic and fast-paced. So it seems like my mind is trying to forget that there are these changes, these differences between songs. And I guess that kind of tells how memorable this album is. So while it's kind of nice and easy to get into, it's not exactly the memorable type. Now the production is pretty much solid. I mean, it's not exactly the rawest out there, but it's not too clean or posh or anything like that. It's actually very nicely in balance. So somewhat rough, but just not too raw for people out there. So it's kind of supports both melodics and the fast pace and making this sound rather clear and sort of powerful also. And also these vocals are rather nice. I mean, they have this energy and this kind of a fierceness which is needed when the music itself is fast tempo and straightforward in your face. And I think as such, Thurthul definitely has a lot of potential to become something worthwhile, even more than this debut album. So while this is once again nice, nothing groundbreaking, nothing mind-blowing is exactly found here. Definitely worth checking out, but once again I would say just adjust your expectations to have a rather nice album instead of wow, greatness. And with these expectations, I would say just click on the band's Bandcamp site, for example, or unless you prefer YouTube, and just give this album a listen. It's not too much because it's just 38 minutes and you have it right here with digital files. And in case you just happen to like the album, it's pretty cheap to buy for only €4 or €80 with compact disc. So with this information, take a look at Thurthul debut album, and obviously I can say I hope you like it. Take care, my friends, and see you soon with more reviews coming your way.